Walt Disney was a man who was always thinking into the future. He liked to imagine how the future would be, and he tried to bring that future to the people of 1955 when he thought of opening Tomorrowland inside of Disneyland. Years later, we still love the future that Walt imagined for us, and so, following our tradition, Fastpass Facts brings to you 5 secrets you need to know about Tomorrowland. Walt Disney envisioned a future that was self-sustaining and efficient. He believed in agri-future, which is to create and maintain food supplies for the growing population. Fruits and vegetables were planted throughout Tomorrowland, so all of the plants you'll see are edible. And not only that, but some of those plants are used in many of the restaurants around Tomorrowland. Recognize him? That's right, it's Push, the talking trash can. For those of you who don't know him, Push is a robot that used to make daily rounds throughout Tomorrowland. Push used to interact with many guests and cast members that were just walking by. Unfortunately, Push disappeared for good from Disneyland and Walt Disney World in February of 2014. We all still miss him, and we still hope he can come back. Still, if you really want to meet him right now, he still makes occasional rounds in Hong Kong Disneyland and Disneyland Paris. Did you know that there were real live mermaids swimming around the Submarine Voyage Lagoon? For 3 consecutive summers, Disneyland brought mermaids to the lagoon so they could swim around and say hi to the guests while they rode the submarines. While this was a nice idea and people really liked them, the chlorine from the water started to harm the girls, so Disney decided to stop hiring swimmers to play mermaids. Well, it was cool while it lasted. Did you know Tomorrowland is supposed to be situated in 1986? That's right! Walt sat down with the Imagineers to imagine how the future would be, and it was no easy task. While designing all the other lands, they only had to base their concepts on things they already knew, things that already existed. But while designing Tomorrowland, they had to create and imagine how everything would be. That's so cool! In 1959, Tomorrowland was responsible for the introduction of the e-ticket. When Walt decided to open these new attractions and add them to this land, the e-ticket was introduced because the new attractions were so popular. These attractions were the Disneyland Monorail, Submarine Voyage, and the Matterhorn bobsleds, which later became part of Fantasyland. Today, we picture ourselves far from civilization, in the remote jungles of Asia and Africa. So Fastpass Facts will tell you 5 secrets you need to know about Adventureland. Did you know that one of the many palm trees in the jungle at Adventureland is more than 115 years old? That's right. When Disney bought the land from the Dominguez family, which was the family that owned the land and operated it as a family farm, there was a palm tree that had been planted in 1896 as a wedding gift for some of the elder members of the Dominguez family. And since the Dominguez tree held special meaning, Disney Imagineers made sure to preserve it when the current Jungle Cruise boathouse was constructed. It now towers over Adventureland. And speaking about trees, there's a really special resident who lives inside a tree at Adventureland. Patrick Begora is a leprechaun that used to live inside an orange tree. When Disneyland started construction, Mickey had to ask Patrick to move. At first he didn't want to, but then Mickey showed him what they were planning for Disneyland, and he told Patrick that they would find him a new home. Patrick said not to worry, that he found one already, and he definitely did. He had been hiding for many years, but last year, after the D23 Expo, he decided to make his home a little bit more known, and now we can see it in a tree outside of Indiana Jones. Recognize this? We're sure you do. But if you don't, you are definitely missing out. The Dole Whip is a delicious pineapple soft serve treat, and next time you are at Disneyland, be sure to head over first to Adventureland. Go over to the Tiki Juice Bar and enjoy. Adventureland was originally supposed to have real animals from Africa to live in a jungle river, but zoologists knew that the real animals would always be lying around or hiding, so they told Walt, and he decided to ask Imagineers to build mechanical animals instead. They definitely made the right decision. Adventureland provides a 1950s view of exotic adventure, capitalizing on the post-war tiki craze. It is themed to resemble the remote jungles in Africa, Asia, South America, and the South Pacific. Cool, right? New Orleans Square is one of the most traditional lands in Disneyland. where we can find some of the coolest attractions, like Pirates of the Caribbean and the Haunted Mansion. But did you know that this land holds amazing secrets? That's why, following our tradition, Fastpass Facts brings you 5 secrets you need to know about New Orleans Square. New Orleans Square was the first new land added to Disneyland after the park's opening. It was opened to the public on July 24, 1966, and Walt Disney officiated the ceremony. This was his last major public appearance before his death. Mary Poppins played a fundamental role in the construction of New Orleans Square. Because of its success, Disney had the funds to finish building this land and its attractions, especially Pirates of the Caribbean. One of the most exclusive and secret clubs in the history of mankind is Club 33, which is located inside of Disneyland. Where? Well, in New Orleans Square, of course. But bad news, guys. The club is members only. Did you know that there is an exclusive suite inside of New Orleans Square? It's called the Dream Suite. It was planned in 1960 by Mr. Disney to be a private space for his family and friends to stay in when they were visiting the park. Unfortunately, when Mr. Disney passed away in 1966, the project was postponed. It was reimagined and named in 2008. The room is only available to random guests and cannot be reserved. The Dream Suite design is based on early sketches by Dorothy Redmond, the production designer of many films including Gone with the Wind and many of Alfred Hitchcock's productions. $18 million was the total cost for the construction of this land. That is more than the United States paid for the real New Orleans in the Louisiana Purchase of 1803. Crazy, right? Have you ever wanted to go inside a Disney movie? To fly through the sky with Peter Pan and Dumbo? Attend a tea party with a Mad Hatter? Or realize just how small the world is? Obviously, we're talking about Fantasyland, the land that takes us straight into Walt Disney's imagination. This amazing land holds many secrets, and so, following our tradition, Fastpass Facts brings to you 5 secrets you need to know about Fantasyland. When Disneyland opened for the first time, it worked with a ticket system that allowed you to go to different rides depending on which ticket you bought. We'll talk more about this system later, but for now, we'll let you know that the ticket booths where they used to sell these tickets are still around the park. They were turned into information booths. You can find one next to the Small World, another next to Casey Jr., one next to Alice in Wonderland, and another really close to Storybook Canals. We all have our favorite land on Disneyland, right? Well, Walt was no different from us. He also had a favorite land. Can you guess which one it was? You guessed it! It was Fantasyland. Just like the fantasy dedication plaque said.
Here is a world of imagination, hopes, and dreams. In this timeless land of enchantment, the age of chivalry, magic, and make-believe are reborn, and fairy tales come true. Fantasyland is dedicated to the young and the young in heart, to those who believe that when you wish upon a star, your dreams do come true.
Sleeping Beauty's castle holds some secrets too. Did you know that the castle's drawbridge works perfectly? But it has only been raised twice. Once in 1955 for the grand opening, and then in 1983 for the rededication of Fantasyland. Talking about the rededication of Fantasyland, in 1983, Fantasyland was renovated, and one of the reasons behind this decision was that Walt was not completely satisfied with the way Fantasyland was constructed, with it being his favorite land and all. It was constructed with less time and resources that was needed. So, Imagineers had a strong need to give Walt what he wanted and decided to do the changes that he would want. They knew that Walt wanted Fantasyland to look more whimsical, so they changed the look from a Renaissance carnival motif to a fantasy mock-up of a Bavarian village. Disneyland magic starts as soon as you enter the parking lot, and of course, it keeps getting better and better the closer you get to the main entrance. But nothing beats the feeling of crossing those main gates and walking right down the middle of Mainstreet USA. So, Fastpass Facts brings to you 5 secrets you need to know about it. Did you know that Main Street is based on Walt Disney's hometown of Marceline, Missouri? That's right. He lived there for a few years, but he wanted to bring that feeling of carefree time and bring back happy memories to visitors from all around the world. Walt had a special apartment made for him inside of Disneyland for when he went with his family to stay and watch all of the activity around the park. Do you know where it is? Right in the Main Street Firehouse. Whenever Walt was working there, he had a light on so people could know that he was there. Now, if you look closely, that lamp is still there, and it's always on to remind us that Walt is always in the park with us. Many people walk down Main Street noticing the beautiful buildings and the castle. But have you ever noticed the windows above the shops? Next time you're here, look for them, and you'll see that those windows are not only decorations, but also a place to honor those who helped Disneyland become a dream come true. That was Walt's way of thanking them. Disneyland always succeeds into making every aspect around the park magical and authentic. And this is not an exception when it comes to the Main Street lamps. These are authentic 19th century gas lamps. This means that they are more than 150 years old. So everyone knows that cast members have their name and hometown on their name tags. And there's a very special cast member in Main Street. Her name is Tilly, and she sits in the box office at the Main Street Cinema. When you come in, look at her name tag, and you'll see that her hometown is Marceline, Missouri. That's the same as Walt. So, did you enjoy these secrets? If you did, don't forget to subscribe and tell us in the comments what other facts, secrets, or tips you'll like to know. Also, our online store is open. Click on the link to go check it out. And click on the Patreon link to see what exclusive content we're offering over there as a thanks to everyone who is helping us.